In this video, I'm going over $100 bills that you should never spend. Now look, I get it. $100 is a lot of money, but these bills sold for so much more money than just $100. And if you find one, there's a good chance that you have a bill worth a lot of money that you do not want to accidentally spend. I'll be as short and brief and to the point as possible because I do value your time, but it is really important to know about these bills because I hate hearing stories, and I don't typically use the word hate, but I really do hate hearing about people getting scammed and ripped off out there by people that are trying to take advantage of us. Knowledge is incredibly important when it comes to old bills like these, so I'm going to tell you exactly everything that you need to know in this video. So without wasting any more time, let's hop right into this video on rare $100 bills that you might have. So this one right here sold for $3,840, and here's why. So this is a 1934B $100 bill graded by PMG at a 66 EPQ. Now what you need to know about the grading thing is essentially, if I could keep it very brief, just don't fold your bill. Do not fold it whatsoever. Don't damage it. Don't tear it. It sounds pretty obvious, but you'd be surprised what I've seen. Keep it as flat as possible. You need some sort of holder. If you don't have anything in the meantime, you could keep it flat in a book. Just do not forget about it, because I've literally found rare currency in books that I've purchased in the past, and I'm telling you the absolute truth with that. There are currency holders out there. I do have a link below that links to Amazon, but honestly, you don't have to do that. Just find something to keep them flat and safe. But again, the main reason here is because this is a very old bill and it's in a high graded condition. Now you can see the district seal on the left-hand side has an H. That stands for the St. Louis district. Now something not many people know is that that large H should always be identical to the prefix or first letter in the serial number. You can see it starts with an H. If those two are ever different, that's a big issue and the bill could be worth a ton of money. Next, another key feature that not many people know about is the district number. Now you can see 4 little 8s around the bill. Now why are they number 8s? That's because H is the 8th letter in the alphabet. So if that H was an A, then the prefix should be an A and the numbers should be a 1. If it was a B, they should be 2s. If it was a C, they would be 3s, so on and so forth. The reason I bring this up is because if they're ever different, that's something incredibly rare and valuable. It's also important to know that 1928 was the first year they ever started producing these bills. What you need to know is that depending on the district your bill is, will dictate how many were produced for that specific run. It comes down to a simple supply and demand thing. The more bills produced for a specific district, the more supply there is and the less demand there is. But again, the main reason is the fact that it graded very highly. It's an old bill, and again, it sold for $3,840. I'll try to be pretty brief here, but this is a 1928 bill that sold for $4,312. Now remember before I was saying that that district letter on the left should match the prefix? Well, you actually don't see a letter here, but you do see a large number 11. That's because this is called a numeral type bill. Numeral types are more rare and valuable, and they are highly collected. But as you can see, that large number 11 is also at the prefix, which is a K, and K is the 11th number in the alphabet. We also see these small number 11s around the bill. Everything matches. Everything looks really good there. Graded by PCGS at a 66 PPQ, and that's why this bill sold for $4,312. $7,200 for this $100 bill from the series of 2017A. Now it is important to know that just because your bill says 2017 does not mean that's when it was actually produced. When they're producing the plates for these bills, they don't want to have to change the date every single year, so typically they will produce the same year for numerous years after the date. For example, this bill on the screen could have been produced in 2018, 2019, 2020, etc. But what we need to know here is that if you're looking at the plate position at the top left-hand side of the bill, you'll see a letter A plus a number afterwards and then an FW before that. Now, what does that mean? US paper money is only produced at 2 facilities, either the Washington, D.C. Bureau of Engraving and Printing or the Fort Worth, Texas one. This one, because of the FW, means it was produced at Fort Worth. If your bill does not have anything there whatsoever, that means it was produced at the Washington BEP. Fun little fact. Now, this is important because depending on how many were produced at Fort Worth versus Washington, D.C. will dictate how many were produced. Now, for the most part on these brand new bills, they generally produce the same number or very similar numbers, but there are times when they produce more at one than the other, resulting in a supply and demand thing. Now, if you flip the bill over and look in the back bottom right-hand corner of the bill, you're going to see what's called a back plate number. Now, this back plate number can be important on some bills depending on numerous factors. Now, what that number is essentially an internal number for the Bureau of Engraving and Printing to let them know where this actual plate was positioned on a giant plate. A bit confusing, but what you need to know is that if you have a mule note, that can make the bill worth a lot of money. So they call them mule notes because essentially what a mule is a donkey plus a horse. That means that the back of the bill did not mean to go with the front of this bill. Now again, this is not a mule note in particular, but they are out there. Typically the way you can tell if you have a mule note or not is that the back plate numbers will be smaller or larger than the front plate numbers. Now just being honest, I would not spend my time looking for mule notes on this specific type of bill because the quality control process is so much better today that it's hard for errors like that to get out. But the main reason why this bill sells for so much money is because this bill is also a solid number 8 serial number. I'll keep it very brief, but 8 is a highly sought after number, especially in certain countries around the world where 8 is considered to be a lucky number. Combine that with a high grade of a 66 allowed this bill to sell for $7,200. I'll be very brief here, but $12,650 for this $100 bill. Now, yes, this is a real $100 bill. Now, you may be asking, why is the serial number and seal gold? Well, that's because this is a gold certificate. So back in the day, you could literally bring this bill to a bank and get equal value of gold. That's right. You could literally exchange paper money for gold. This is a real thing. So if you have a bill like this, you're in for a treat, even if it doesn't grade this highly, because this one sold for $12,650, $5,875 for this $100 bill from 1996. I'll keep it very brief, but what you need to know is that this is a specimen note. Now, specimen notes were produced by the Bureau of Engraving and Printing to give to different banks around the world that accept US federal currency. They do this because now those banks will have a genuine example of what the bill should look like if they have someone that comes in with fake bills. The reason for that is because if people are trying to launder fake counterfeit bills and turn them into real money, what they'll do is they'll go to a different country because they think that they don't know what they're doing and try to put those fake bills through a banking system in a different country. Long story short, a bank teller might have got bored or wanted a few extra bucks and sold this bill to a collector for a few $100s. These things are highly sought after and easily replicated, so you have to be aware that you do not get scammed and ripped off if you're buying or selling them. Now, if you look in the back bottom right hand corner, this is called a specimen number. It's 1004. These numbers can be relatively random. They're usually not consecutive, but what is consecutive is the serial number on the front, and that is a great indicator of a genuine specimen note. If you have a specimen note and the serial numbers are all random and normal and not in any fancy serial number, there's a good chance you have a counterfeit altered bill. The thing is, pretty much every specimen note I've ever seen has had a quote unquote fancy serial number like this. You can see the bill's serial number goes from 2 all the way to 9 consecutively, and it was also graded by a third-party company called PCGS at a 55 PPQ. That means there's at least one fold, maybe 2, and a couple dents and handling marks on this bill, which allowed it to sell for $5,875. I'll be very brief, but $900,000 for this $100 Treasury note bill. This is from 1863, so this is during the Confederate era. There are beautiful depictions on this bill. This is the only privately held example out there. It was graded by PCGS at a very fine 30. If you have one, you're in for an incredibly good time because this bill is so challenging to come across, but they are out there, guys. If you're lucky enough to have one, make sure you do not get scammed and ripped off. You want to contact someone who knows what they're doing. Get the opinion of multiple people, guys. The last thing I want is for you guys to get ripped off and scammed. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll see you guys in the next one.